Hello everybody, and welcome or welcome back. I'm Kari, and today I'm doing a book review on The Medievalist by Anne Marie Lacey. This book is sort of a shorter version of Outlander, except set in a different time period. It starts out with a history student who's trying to prove her thesis, and she is obsessed with Richard III, who is the English monarch who allegedly killed his two nephews in the Tower. He's also the one who was killed by Henry Tudor at the Battle of Bosworth. So she starts out in 2012. Because she's obsessed with Richard, she's gone to Leicester, England, in the Midlands, because in 2012 Richard III's body was found in a car park in Leicester. So she goes over there and she's so excited, and she tries to get down into the grave after they've excavated it, and she finds this little silver boar. She touches it and suddenly she's transported to about 2 years before the Battle of Bosworth. So she gets to the Battle of Bosworth and she has to figure out how in the world to survive in the 1400s without, dying or getting turned into a prostitute, which she lands in the middle of a soldier's camp, so she is mistaken for a prostitute initially. Anyway, she meets Richard III, and basically it's sort of like a romance, except it's not a good one. Overall, I gave this book a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed the time travel aspect. I enjoyed knowing how all the pieces from the Plantagenets and the Tudors fit together, because the Tudors are kind of my bread and butter. So I know about Henry VII, and specifically Henry VIII and Elizabeth and everybody else. But it was really fun to read something about the Battle of Bosworth, and Richard III specifically, because not a lot of people talk about Richard III. First of all, he's demonized by Shakespeare as a hunchback who killed his nephews in the Tower, and nobody really wants to write about a hunchback who killed his nephews in the Tower. I can't really blame them. So there's that. That was just a really fun part. It was reading something new for me, and I love history, so it was a good book for that part. However, that said, it also felt too fast. The romance was not fleshed out. None of the characters themselves were fleshed out either. They just kind of were thrown into the mix and were very two-dimensional. They had, one or two characteristics, but nothing was ever explained about them. And it didn't really fit very well to me. I think if she had added more, the book itself was pretty short, so if she had added more about Jane, the main character, and Richard's relationship, or if she had more about the characters themselves, or the characters' relationships, or just anything more, it would have been a much better book. As it was, I felt like it was missing significant components, because the romance just didn't feel right. It felt awkward and a little bit forced and way too fast, and the characters themselves just didn't connect with me. I didn't care what they were doing beyond kind of having that fun, oh yeah, I remember this character because I read about them in this history class. So that was disappointing. Jane ends up desperately trying to prove Richard's innocence, trying to prove that he didn't kill his nephews in the Tower, and nobody's actually sure if he did or not, because the claim that he killed his nephews in the Tower comes from Shakespeare writing during the time of Elizabeth I, and Elizabeth I is, the granddaughter of the guy who killed Richard III. So it's not really a good idea to say, oh yeah, Richard was this very nice, straight-backed, strong young king who was taking us places. You can't say that in front of Elizabeth, because she's Henry Tudor's granddaughter. So Shakespeare obviously twisted things a little bit, but we don't know how much. And we never will, and I think that's part of the fun of history. Anyway, I'm babbling. So, to get back on track, Jane kind of takes it a little too far, in my opinion, and finds a way almost to redeem Richard. And I don't like that, because it didn't actually happen. Richard is not redeemed. Most people, I think, still believe that he killed his nephews in the Tower. He was at least some sort of hunchback, maybe not, Hunchback of Notre Dame, but at least not Adonis either. So I didn't really like that aspect of it, but that was just the ending, and I can live without the ending. It was a predictable book, in part because of history, and in part because of how it was written. The plot is not terribly original, but again, decent enough. those are all of my thoughts. They may have been slightly disjointed, and I do apologize about that. It's a little bit hard when I have all the history going on in my head plus the book, but I hope that this made some semblance of sense to you. So that's all I got. Like I said, I gave this book a 3.5 out of 5 stars, so it's not a bad book, just not one of my favorites. But that is all I have for today, so if you like this, give it a big thumbs up down below and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. And in the meantime, I will see you all in another video. Bye!